Hi, I'm Nick from No Regrets Personal Training, and this is Nathan, and today we're going to go over Piriformis syndrome, which can be literally a pain in the butt. Alright, so very tricky postural condition, this one, and when I say postural, it is really caused from something repetitive. Usually it's something like simple, like crossing your legs too often, sitting on your wallet, poor running technique, poor gym technique if you're a gym goer. Something that you do for a long time sort of sets you up for it. So before you even do any of these exercises, you must try and find out where the cause is all coming from in the first place. Otherwise, these are never really going to work. Your treatments, you're going to still be suffering with it for a long time, and it can be quite painful. All right, so we're going to whip right into the exercises and stuff that you need to sort of start administering. And important to note here is follow the order. One thing just before I move on, a lot of people just spend a lot of time with this trying to get massage and dry needling, physio treatment. And physios, don't get me wrong, they're excellent. We highly recommend body motion physio here in Mitchin, and chiropractors, they're excellent as well. However, they don't, without fully strengthening, you can never really get on top of it, because whenever you've got a tight area, you also have a weak one. All of those areas, physios, massage therapists, chiropractors, really excellent job of loosening tight areas, but they don't make you stronger, right? They can't make you stronger. You have to do that with exercises. This is where we're going to show you the exercises we've used very effectively for a long time. And as long as you do it in the right order by releasing tight stuff first, following up with the strength exercises second, it'll work, all right? When you change the order or you do it your own way, it won't work. All right, so first thing, we're going to show you a couple of simple tissue release exercises and mobilisations you can use. So Nathan's going to do the foam roller first, and he's going to show you a piriformis mobilisation. So see how his leg is crossed over and he rolls on this leg. Once he opens his leg up like that, it opens the muscle fibres of the glute out of the way to get to the piriformis muscle. It can be excruciating painful for someone who has got the condition, so just be very careful, but also bear in mind that you really need to get on the trigger point to almost, without sort of in a crude way, it's sort of like trying to pop it, all right? But basically Nathan's going to roll across here, and then he's also going to roll across the side of the leg to sort of look at if there's any sort of problem within the hip area itself. Usually the ITB muscle, which is the big thick band on the side of the hip, also becomes quite inflamed and overworks itself to stabilise due to the fact that the glutes are not doing enough work. Right, so these two guys just become constant workaholics. And like I said at the start, even if your exercises are the right exercise for a glute strengthening, they won't work unless you get rid of the tight ones first. Right, so there's two simple techniques that we would use. Then we would go to a more sort of sinister looking piece of equipment. This is called a pocket physio. And you would get this and you would stick it right under your butt, right on the spot where the piriformis is hiding. And you can see Nathan's face is not really enjoying this much at all, but this is sort of this is exactly what your physio and that might be trying to do to release you, or a massage therapist even more so, to release the trigger point, which is like holding a taut band. Like when they're really taut, that's when trigger points develop. So if you can sort of get rid of the trigger point, helps you to sort of use the joint more effectively when we want to strengthen it. Alright, so now that we've done the mobilisations, we'll move to the stretches. So Nathan's going to do a 90-90 hip stretch first. And you can see, we call it 90-90. He has his knees bent at 90 degrees, and he keeps his back in a nice sort of straight upright posture, and then he slowly tries to bend over into it. And this is giving a massive stretch through the lateral side of the hip here. A lot of people feel it in the glutes, all the abductors, and they could all be contributing to the pain developing and restriction of the hip, which means you won't actually walk properly, run properly, take stairs properly, squat properly, lunge properly. You won't be able to do any of those things, right? So we really need to mobilise it and then try and straight away implement good good strength program. Following up from that, we'll do like a quad stretch. And Nathan has the ball behind his... Now he has reasonably good flexibility. This would enable him to do a good lunge as such, but you know, commonly we would see like poor flexibility would look something like this, and the person would be really struggling to sit upright. In that case, we would really need to do that stretch. In Nathan's case, we don't need to do it, but you sort of assess it, have a look at it, look for anything around the hips, and if there's anything going on, then you need to try and identify it, mobilise it, get rid of it. Now we move into the stability stage. So first thing we're going to do is a horse stance manoeuvre. And Nathan's going to move from opposite arm and leg, so work through his core as such. This leg here, which is the one that he was rolling on, we need this glute to be activated. Alright, so when this leg lifts up like that, we really want to encourage his butt to be working. Alright, this leg here is the stabiliser, so if he switches around to the other side now we're going to be working his sore leg as a stabiliser, where in the last one it was a mover. Alright, if we wanted to challenge him with his stability of that leg, because we're in a stability phase, we can whack his knee on the bosu here. And you can see this is a lot tougher for him. And you can see how he's almost kinked off to the side here if I bring him out like so. Oh, yeah, that's it. and now he looks quite nice. This leg is, this pelvis here, this hip is learning how to stabilise, because usually when it's tight it doesn't do a very good job at stabilising at all. Alright, so, and when we switch it around, then we can get to target the strength of the glute in that leg. Alright, so that'll be two of the places we'd start with. Then we're going to use another, this is a really cool exercise for the Piriformis, and this is called the hydrant. So again, he's going in all fours. And it's called the hydrant because it almost looks like a dog trying to wee on a fire hydrant. And when he does that particular movement, he's sort of activating his glute muscles to squeeze together. Because this is the actual function of the Piriformis muscle, to externally rotate the hip. Alright, so he's actually really trying to target the glute area, not the Piriformis. The person who has Piriformis, you'll find that they're usually very restricted. When they try to lift the leg, they'll usually get sort of a range of something like that, and then on the other side, the range is something like way up the top here like that. Alright, so your goal is to use it as a test to make them the same, but the test becomes an exercise. So once we sort of move through the stability, one more thing with the stability one, we'll stand up and we'll do the toe touch drill. Single leg stance is where a lot of the problems happen with the Piriformis. So Nathan's doing what we call a toe touch drill. So he's sort of trying to touch the ground, like in a circular action, maintaining good stability of the stance leg. So bad stability of the stance leg, Nathan gives us a demonstration of bad. You see how he's sort of kinking out to the side, and his trunk's falling all over the place. It means he can't stabilise himself very well. We might give him a stick to hold on to. Or we might just have to stay with the ones on the ground until he can get better at those and making that better. Once we've gone past the stability stage, we need to strengthen. We need to target the weak muscles with an isolated exercise first. So the first thing we're going to do is get Nathan to show us the clam exercise, where he's going to wrap a band around his legs. And he's going to lie on his side, facing the camera. And basically he's going to be lifting his leg out, like so. I quite often get my clients to put the other hand on the butt here to feel that that muscle's actually working, the glute muscle's working as it's meant to. And basically Nathan's just trying to encourage the glute muscle to work. Now you might need to do something like 20 to 25 repetitions of this one, depending on how weak the person is. For male clients they might need to do a lot, for the female clients might be a little bit less, but it's more about going for time than trying to put extra bands and make it heavier. It's the time that you really want to, that's going to make the biggest influence. Now, in addition to his weak glutes, commonly there's going to be weak abdominals. So the exercise for abdominals will be the lower abdominal exercise. So Nathan can roll his band off. And we like to use a little blood pressure feedback unit for these. If you don't have one, you can just use your hand. So if Nathan lies down on his back and he has his knees bent, he pops one hand under his back and the other hand out to the side. His goal is to try and keep pressure on his hands, on his fingers. So when he brings his feet up into the air, he wants to engage his abdominals by keeping the pressure on his fingers by gently pulling his belly button in, lowering his feet to the floor, gently touching the floor and gently coming back. As long as you can do that and you don't see anything sort of buckling through his spine, he's learning to sort of stabilise his pelvis from his abdominals and keep it still. So what we saw on the toe touch drill when he demonstrated bad technique, this is one reason why, because of poor abdominal control. There's a lot of exercises for abdominals. You can check out a lot of our other videos and articles on that. This is just one that we probably 9 out of 10 people would find can't do, and I would always be looking at starting with this one. But like I said, go and check out the other ones to find out more. Now, once we move past through isolating glutes, isolating abdominals, we need to eventually integrate into full body movements. So things like squats, lunges, step-ups. And the best place to start from, Nathan gets up and does a lunge for me. And he puts his right leg forward. And you can use little bands like this to encourage great glute activation. And you can see from front on here, if Nathan demonstrates a bad technique on the next one, that would be where the glute is sort of shut down. And now he would do a good one, and that's where the glute's on the job. All you have to do this on your own is just wrap one of these around a pole or something, and always try to pull the leg in so you encourage your glute to do the job. So Nathan could go into a squat stance now. I'm still facing the camera. And he can do his squats, still encouraging that weaker leg to encourage. So we're sort of isolating his glute into an integrated movement. And we could do this for all sorts of movements. Have a rest, Nate. For deadlifts, step-ups, even the arm exercises. If we're doing like cable push, we can sort of activate the leg even though it's more of an arm exercise. Trying to find as many ways to strengthen your glutes without irritating the piriformis. So you might need to use your mobilisation stuff that we did at the start in between sets. So we might do a set of lunges in between the pocket physio and the foam roller and a quad stretch, and then the lunges again, and do around and round in circles as we go, 4 or 5 sets of that. And that might be where you need to start, or you might need to use some of the horse stance manoeuvres with the Bosu mixed in with the clamp. You just got to find where you are in your stage of your rehab process. If you're not sure, shoot us an email or check us out, www.noregretspt.com.au, and we can get in touch with you and we can help you design a program to effectively get rid of it forever, because the last thing you want is for it to be coming back and haunting you all the time. Alright, so hope this video has helped you out, give you some good ideas, and and look forward to seeing you on the next video.